Good morning, folks. It's Lindsey Huddleston with SPS back in the building for another SPS Monday Motivation. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I had a great weekend, spent time with my daughter. Can't go wrong with that. Definitely enjoyed the time. I just want to check in and give a moment of inspiration. Hey, times can be hard, but we got to keep going. So what is today's Monday Motivation? I have people that I care about daily on my heart, and I want to wish them the best. And I just want to say, just because you're down, you are not out. Just because you're down doesn't mean you're out. And what am I talking about here? In life, I think it's understood, and we have to be reminded, if need be, that we all hit moments when life feels heavy, setbacks, disappointments, losses. But being down isn't the same as being done. We have to keep that in mind. And I know it may seem like the whole world is crashing in. Who do we have this morning? We got Michelle Mimi Watkins. Good morning, Michelle. Thank you for checking in. Talking about just because you're down doesn't mean you're out, right? I know you're a fighter, but even fighters have their moments, right? And speaking of fighters, I got to say it again. I may be down, but I'm definitely not out. You got to remind yourself of that, right? Down, but not out, okay? Also, down, but not out is the word. And you have to be reminded of that going forward, Michelle. And I think I'm preaching to the choir, but it's important to be able to hear that, right? So we got to talk about this. What is the mindset shift that we have to have? You have to have a mindset shift when things are happening. You're trying to get things in order. Your lowest moments aren't punishment, they're preparation. And many times as humans, I think we go back and we try to think of all the things that we could have done better as a person, our character flaws or our shortcomings, whatever it may be, and say, well, this is punishment for these things. But you have to shift that mindset. Say, no, those are life lessons that I learned, and this is preparation. Preparation for what? The struggle sharpens your focus. It tests your resilience, and it helps you focus on your creativity, and it brings that creativity to the surface, I should say. You don't want to hear it when you're going through it. You don't want to hear that this is a lesson. I don't want to hear no damn lesson. I need what I need, whether it's support, whether it's financial aid, whether it's health, all these type of things. You don't want to hear about the lesson, but the fact still remains, right? Want to talk about the psychology of resilience. I talked about this principle a few weeks ago, and I'm going to bring it up again. When adversity hits, your brain has two choices. Two choices, right? You can either retreat into fear, like, oh, this is so messed up, and you get into this cycle. That's why you got to be careful with that. I'm not saying your brain doesn't think about it, but you got to be careful about where you decide to choose to rest your thoughts, right? Or you can reframe it as growth. Hey, I'm growing here. You may say, man, I ain't no baby. What you mean I'm growing? There's always growth that we can have as humans, right? Always a new way to look at something, some new things to be added. What's the difference? Your belief in what the moment means. See, this is all about you. It's all about how you shift your thinking. That's why it's important the people you have around you are inspiring and it can be uplifting, inspiring, that is, so keep that in mind because you can get clarity in the chaos. And that's what you need. That's why they say sometimes it's best to be creative as you clean up the space around you, whether it's your desk, whether it's your room, whatever it may be. When you clean up the space, that can help you with your thinking, get that clarity in this chaos that we have around us, right? Also, too, sometimes being focused helps slow us down to help you see clearly. I always talk about the 48 laws of power, and there's one passage in the 48 laws of power when I give you the shortest version, where someone is rushing to get to the city gates, because they're in this medieval time. And if they're out at the gates past the time, when the sun is down, that's when the marauders and all the, devilish people come out and can cause harm. And they ask someone how far to get to the gates. And they were carrying so many things, bags and papers. And the wise man said, you can make it if you slow down, which seems counterproductive, right? No, I got to get here in a hurry. But no, he said, if you slow down. And the guys did not slow down, and they rushed and they were dropping things. They had to go back and get things. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes being focused and forced to slow down helps you see things clearly, right? I know you have this anticipation of something got to go, but just take a step back for a moment. Try to slow down. That can help you see things clearly. Who we have? We got Dwayne Whitley. Shout out to fam going way back. Say good morning, good brother. Good morning to you, brother. We got a good thing going, man. Just because you're down does not mean you're out. I put the visual up again, right? We got to be fighters out here, man. Sometimes we hit the deck, down but not out, right? But we got to keep going, down but not out. So with that being said, also too, folks, keep in mind that that's where the real direction begins, right? That's when you really get focused on where you need to go. That's when it really comes down to Creativity under pressure. Now, when you're under pressure, sometimes you may feel like it's hard to think, but when you take a step back, take some deep breath, gather yourself for a moment, that's when the creativity comes out. Hard times can unlock the most creative solutions. You may not say, well, I'm not looking for that, but hey, sometimes you feel you're left with no options, but that leads you to a level of creativity to open something up, right? I remember my whole SPS podcast as it relates to doing interviews started with me doing an interview years ago with Tom Izzo with my guy Horatio Williams at his event. It was a great interview. It was our first sit-down interview. I put the headphones on him. We were suited and booted, clean at the MGM Grand. 10 minutes rocking with him, and it was the first time. He was like, oh, I love it. Audio didn't come through. What? No audio, because I missed out putting one little plug into one little hole in the recorder. No audio. Sick about it. Sick. So what I did is, because like to this point, hard times can unlock creative solutions, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back and interview all those coaches again. So I went to Coach Mike Davis, who was then the coach at University of Detroit Mercy. Hit him up, came to his practice and started interviewing guys in practice. And like, man, this is kind of a thing. Then I started going to other people's practices, and then it just started. So sometimes hard times can unlock the most creative solutions. Speaking of solutions, that really unlocked SPS going forward. Pressure has a way of revealing possibilities you've never seen in comfort. Yeah, when we fat and happy and sitting back, we chilling. There's nothing wrong with that. You can relax and breathe a bit, but sometimes that pressure makes you see things you wouldn't see. It makes you see things in a different way, right? Strength through the struggle. Again, we don't wish for struggle upon ourselves, but when the struggle comes and it's inevitable, look at it as, how can I have strength through that? How can I be strong through that? And it may seem like you don't have it because you haven't been through the situation before, but hey, you're here, which means you have the possibility to prevail. Strength isn't built when everything is easy, right? That's not the easiest time. You don't go, your whole goal isn't to go on vacation and work out when you go to some tropical place. I mean, I can't wait to start working out. No, it's not that time. It's like when you at home in the wintertime when it's cold and it's not easy to go like I do and just ride my bicycle, but I got to go in the gym and get down on things. Who do we have right here? Got Kevin Marshall. Good morning, my brother. I hope you're doing well. I know you had some surgery, brother. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're coming back strong, man. I know you can relate to strength isn't built when it's easy, right? So I hope you're doing well. Glad you're checking in. Strength is built when you choose to get up again and again. That when it's not easy, right? That's when you got to get up again and again. Yeah, it's easy to go to the gym when you can just, throw on something, go out in the warm weather. In my opinion, go up to the gym. Yeah, but when it's cold and you got to put on boots and then come out your boots and put your gym shoes on or whatever it may be, that's when you got to keep going. Even if it's just getting up, going to where your workout is at home, you got to use belief as fuel. Sometimes we get so low and like, what do I have? But you got to have a belief. Okay, I know this is going to work out. Let me just keep it together, right? And use this belief as fuel. Kevin Marshall says, yes, still in recovery. Thank God is good. God is good, man. You're welcome. You said thanks. You're welcome, brother. There's other things that we got to worry about. Our health is the most important thing. I'm glad my brother is doing okay, right? So we talk about that belief as fuel. We also talk about, you have to believe that you're meant to succeed. I think that's the key part right here. They talk about, whether you win or you lose, the answer is, what you said it is. Do you believe you can win? Do you believe you go lose? And I think you got to be really mindful of who you have around you and what kind of things you're taking in so you don't start spiraling to this negative. Psychology. Belief activates motivation, persistence, and purpose, right? The building blocks of success. We're talking about preparing for the comeback, right? Yeah, we could be down. We all have our moments, right? But we want to prepare for that comeback, right? Every setback can be a setup. If you decide it would be. See, it's about what you decide. It's not about what your friend decides, what your spouse decides, what somebody you heard on the internet decide, what somebody who has no investment in your life said in past. And this is what you decide, all right? This is up to you. And what I want to say as we wrap up, folks, is just because you're down doesn't mean you out. Just because you're down doesn't mean you're out. You got to stand up and you have to refocus, all right? And also, too, success isn't luck. It's belief backed by action. You got to do something. Got to make a move. Jamie Lee Curtis was on a podcast actually with Kevin Hart, and I saw a quick clip. And they said, hey, if you're a guitar player, you can't just be a good guitar player, at your house. You got to go somewhere. You got to go ask somebody, hey, I play the guitar. Can I come play out here? And then you may run into somebody. So it has to be some action going on. You got to reach out. You got to get out of your comfort zone and keep that in mind. And sometimes, the challenge is whatever challenge you're going through, the sacrifice may be you not doing what you normally do. You're not where you normally go. You're not around who you normally around. But that's just part of it. But you got to believe deep down inside that what you're working towards will actually be there. But there's some work that has to come, and some belief that has to come, and you got to think back to the good times you had. There were times when you were up, which lets you know that that is something that's not taken completely away from you. You're just going through a period right now, and I just want you to hold on, stay focused, stay positive, going forward. My brother Kevin said, good word. I appreciate that. Stay focused, stay positive. Go back and go in that mental memory bank of times when you was up. And I know you may wish that time being now and all those great times come together, but it doesn't happen like that. But if you really think about it, in most cases, whatever we're going through, as overwhelming may be, it may be only a small percentage based on what's most important in life. Kevin just had some surgeries, working on, getting healthy. I know that's when you prioritize health. Some of us have loved ones we can go speak to and talk to. That's when you prioritize people being in your life. Some of us, may not have all the kind of finances we want to have, but we got an opportunity to get towards getting some more. And the day will come when you better get some more. Hell, and sometimes you got things that's just going to be a bad look. You got to be creative to the next opportunity present itself. Tino, good morning, brother. How you doing, man? We're going to be getting down soon with the Rachel Williams Foundation, not only the Hoops and Culture coming up next week, but also the MLK tip-off in January. And, of course, the tip-off is going to be taking place in December. I know you're going to be up in the building, man. Hey, so with that being said, guys, I want you to be encouraged, down but not out. We've been taking blows before, and we can just keep going. Just sit back and refocus for a second. Be creative in your response, and you'll get the outcome you want. And if it's not the outcome you want, it's going to be the outcome you need for the time. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much. Brother Dwayne Woodley says, what? He said, I thought we got a whole 15 minutes every Monday. Oh, man. He said, what's up, man? Hey, you want a whole 15 minutes? Hey, I will give you some more, baby. I can keep it going. Dwayne Woodley said, let's keep it going. Let's stay motivated, man. Well, here's the thing, man. I appreciate that, and thank God I'm capable of doing it. I don't got to rush out. Hey, that's what we was at, but I'm going to keep this going. He said he'll be at WSU, too, at Wayne State University. Yes, folks, in life we have these challenges, and it seems like there's a new challenge every day, and it seems like just like we overcome one thing, we have to work on getting something else. You late? You're not back to work yet, mother. What you being late for? You'll be okay. Shout out to Patricia England. Dwayne Whitley, I was wrapping up. He said, man, I thought we get a whole 15 minutes. So I got some more time for you. Don't worry. But it's just a reminder, folks. We look at life, and we by default, we think about all the high times when things were great. I remember I had this, and that. And in a perfect world, you put all those things together, but it just doesn't happen like that. But it doesn't mean that you're not capable of getting these things going forward. So yeah, we had these challenges. And as an adult, you think you've seen all the things you've seen, but no, it's more things to learn. There's more situations to come through. There's more opportunity for us to build a resilience to get through. And guess what happens? Not only does it help us get through, you may say, I don't need no more lessons, but these may be lessons that you can pass on to your children. This may be an encouraging word you can get to somebody who's really on the brink. You may say, forget that. I don't want to have to go through no trouble or no challenge to give somebody, a message. I want to be able to live life, but life is not like that. As long as we're here, there's going to always be something else going on. He says, yes, keep your head up, eyes focused, and stay motivated on the mission. Yes, you have to. And sometimes the only thing that's going to be able to get you through is your thought of what you want to do next. Let that be your idea of what it is you want to achieve. And sometimes it's just those thoughts are the only thing that's going to carry you. Or maybe the thoughts of the loved ones. Grand Rising, great message. Got my brother Ezra Bell representing, brother. How you doing, man? Grand Rising. I hope the family's doing well, getting ready to get off to school. It's that time. But I just do want to encourage you guys on this day. Just because you're down does not mean you're out. I'll put it up again, right? We all got to fight. All my life, I got to fight. I had to fight, right? Down, but not out. You're not out. We don't like being down. Who likes hitting the canvas? Who like what that feels, especially when you're down there and they counting for you? I'm talking about symbolically, right? But the reality is that think about all the other times you got up before, and you may think this challenge you're facing now is one like no other, but the reality is that you got to stay with it. You got to stay believing in yourself. You got to stay reinforcing positive things and be careful not to get in that spiral. And when you start getting that spiral, that's when you got to back up and pull back. Right? It can be done. It will be done. It's a new challenge for you, but it's going to lead to new opportunities, right? There's some great things on the other side of the challenge, right? Your purpose is on the other side of the pressure. Believe that, no doubt. So with that being said, I'm going to give another opportunity to wrap up, but Dwayne Whitley give me the go to say I'm good, and with that being said, I'm going to wrap up, and I will see you guys really soon. I appreciate the support.